So you make a
That's
good point there
just
because it's not about the
touching on
water
that.
cooler. Huh? It's
No.
about the opportunity to get together and just
Yeah.
chat for a few minutes
Just for
or
a
so.
few minutes as you
So if
wait
you
your
take the
turn.
water cooler out of the equation,
Mm-hmm.
what do you replace
What
it
you
with?
used to replace it. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's the question. Because you know the social interaction is very important, you know, in any environment.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not able to do it in one form, you must find a way for people to do
You
it
should be
because if that
replacing
doesn't
it.
happen, then
Yeah.
the business
Yeah.
suffers, everybody suffers
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
And might that not even be a part of the reason for the cry that we are hearing about low productivity?
Yes.
And even the prime minister
And you know,
saying,
it's a balance because you know you have those who will always abuse a privilege. And question is, how do you strike that balance to ensure that you still have productivity and at the same time, you know, the social side of things is maintained, you know? That is the delicate nature
the
of things.
balance that
Yes, how do
you
you
have to
strike that
strike.
balance?
When we look at the rising, say rising, but when we look at our levels of antisocial behavior,
Mm-hmm.
just looking at crime and violence in the society yesterday, I was speaking to a rather senior attorney, and he was saying, boy, things are such in Jamaica now that the level of crime is such that only murder gets the front pages
Mm-hmm.
and the first effort, the best effort from law enforcement.
Yeah.
The other things is like, hush, hey, you're lucky they didn't kill you. And I was reflecting on how many break-ins we've had at our home, which we've reported,
Mm-hmm.
and never have you ever? No, there was one policeman who used to call us back,
Yeah.
but it became more of a
Oftentimes, and
social
then that
thing,
was it. Yeah.
and then it became more of a social thing. I'm not knocking him, but you then get the fish fry tickets, and the it became a more of a social thing than to say this is what has happened with the case you reported. Do you remember that
Yes, I
first time
remember.
when we
I
lost a
remember.
whole set of garden tools and they'd broken into one of the storerooms and so on and so forth? It's almost like you yourself begin to feel like it's not worth reporting these other things because they're just not, they don't compare to the loss of life that we now see as being the order of the day.
And that response underscores something that we all know that you must take responsibility for your own security. It starts with you,
Well, it
the
does.
things that you
Yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So we can't be careless in terms of what we do. We must ensure that we put the various measures in place to secure our home, our person, our property, and so on. Because look at it, we have um, reported these things and nothing comes of it.
So
So we know to say,
even when the vehicle got burnt up,
yeah, yeah.
remember the
Well,
only
look
we
at that.
got excellent service from the fire department. But when it came to the police investigation side of it,
Mm-hmm.
that's still outstanding. We did get a nice speech from the senior man at the time. You remember he was telling us about organized crime and all the efforts of the government to combat organized crime. And
Mm-hmm.
what I did appreciate in that discussion, it showed me that in terms of the technical knowledge and the understanding of the animal, our policemen have it because he spent like an hour. Do you remember?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. He spent about an hour telling us about how organized the criminal gangs are with their leadership of everything from the pickpocket, the handcart routes. And you know what what I learned from it is that Jamaica, the law enforcement's sensitivity to the highly stratified world of the criminal enterprise
Mm-hmm.
is right there.
Of
He
course.
knew what he was
Of course.
talking
Of
about.
course.
I felt very hopeful leaving the office. I say, yes, this
Yeah.
man, he'll be studying the animal. He knows where it feeds, where it take water, where it sleep, where it hang out. That means he could go and find out who took what. Oh, no, sir. I have no, he do. I have no idea. I have no doubt that they know who the common players are
It
and who's
is my
connected to
view.
who. But wow,
It is my view that we have some of the
it
brightest
did
people,
not solve any of our
some of the brightest people out there.
problems. Mhm.
As to why we're not getting the results, that's another story, you know, and that's something that we need to look at because we continue to have the issues that we are having now with crime and violence, and we have people who are qualified
But if
to
I
do the
ask
job.
you to apply your considerable knowledge and understanding of human behavior and to the problem, what would you say? Because I know you have theories on why it is that our very bright and experienced policemen don't seem to be putting a dent into the, the level of crime.
Boy, it's a mix of things, you know, and I do think that if we spend more time seeking to apply ourselves to the job rather than pursuing, selfish motives, then we'll get more done. I do believe that. And when I say that, I say it right across the board. And I'm not, really throwing any stones at policemen because those who are in a position, those who pay them, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
also need to understand that we all need to get to a point where people are compensated well, and those who are seeking to be compensated, we need to get to a point where we give the kind of output that will encourage persons to compensate as well. And I'm not saying it is all about compensation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying that we need to look at all the factors that people will put forward as a reason as to why they're not performing at the highest level. A lot of what's happening now stems from selfishness.
Let me ask you a kind of in the middle question.
Yeah.
Would you equate the lack of result with um, low level of performance? I tell you why I ask. Because we know there's this huge issue of an enormous trust deficit where even if the police, did angel for a day, people are so traumatized and sort of disengaged that the kind of cooperation and engagement that they need with the population, they're not getting it. And some might say they'll never get it. That would affect performance. That would affect result,
Mm.
even if performance is high. Like you are doing your best.
Yeah, but
But
how do you define performance though? Because
that's why I asked the question.
if you're
So
not
you could,
getting the result,
yeah, that's why I
are
asked
you
the question.
performing?
Yeah.
You follow what
Well,
I'm saying? Because performance is measured based on result.
who's doing the measuring? Because if
Well, if
you have two ends of the equation. You have the people they serve and protect who are measuring them and making a
no,
statement, and you have the institutions that support them and create them and monitor them and fund them, and they are also, they are one of the self-regulated bodies in the sense that they report on their own activities and they're giving themselves high fives.
hmm so now
So what?
you're going into another area
Yeah.
now. The first thing is what is acceptable. Are we saying a rate of everything that is committed? Because that's the other thing, you can only measure it based on what is done after the crime has been committed. Yeah,
No, you
a
could
lot of the things.
also,
No, that's true.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
let
can
me
measure
correct
it
that.
on the level
But
of
also,
prevention.
right, if you want to see the numbers when you measure it, that the number is low.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the question is,
But it being
what
low, the numbers being
percentage
low,
would be acceptable?
but the numbers being low might not have anything to do with their performance. And that's why I'm inviting the discussion, because it's one of those issues that we like to say the government need to do something about it, or we like to say the police not doing what they ought to do. But at the same time, it's one of those discussions that it very much is right up there with how you discuss matters of righteousness.
and it is a,
And when we were talking about giving and taking, somebody need to give in order for you to get, and you need to, um, you, all of us need to be givers so that
Mhm.
all of us can
Mhm.
receive.
Yeah.
It's 6:59, is it?
It
Yeah,
is,
I see
yeah.
you eyeing the clock. Where's your big clock that you keep
No,
on
no,
your
no,
dashboard?
no.
Let's take a break because I want
Yeah.
to organize. I want to go a little deeper into the issue. Given that we're at that place of pressing forward and implementing change, but taking ownership of our share of the problem is a great starting point, is a necessary starting point. And sometimes we are behaving as if we are the teacher when we really are the student, or we are behaving as if we're the student
So
when we
let's
need
say
to be
we'll
the
take
teacher. So we'll
care
take the
of our
break and
share of the solution
yeah,
rather
mhm,
than the problem.
yeah,
All right. When we come back.
when we return.
We're just submitting it. www.desafon.com. Streaming live on the
The date is today, 4 p.m. Okay, have to make space to accommodate it. Is it that some of these things, if you touch them roughly, they disconnect or something?
What? Like
These,
what?
the cables that are across now.
No, they're not that delicate.
Oh,
The touch it on. Just don't want to drag anything. That's your thing.
one person is watching.
And
That's what it said on it's on the 505.
you should be under that. Oh,
I think I am. I like to keep it out of the way. All right. So we need George to send the driver to put the files from the office, from the yard.
maybe the best. Yes, yes.
There,
I'm trying.
yeah,
to- I'm thinking.
there's a thing called like legitimate. You can legitimately discriminate against others in some situations. For example, this act that the Americans, what they call it, equal opportunity, affirmative action, affirmative,
Yeah, but what do
yeah.
you call it? Discrimination. That's not a word that we use. Discrimination has a negative connotation, and therefore you would not use discrimination in that situation.
No, discrimination in its pure sense is not negative enough. It just mean you're,
You're preferring
yeah,
one
yeah,
over another.
yeah. And there are occasions where that is lawful. It sets there's a context for it. Like you say, I have discriminating tastes.
Mm. Mm.
All right, it just means that you have a way of ranking things.
Yeah,
and
it's a preference,
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
I say, it depends on your choice
Yeah.
of word.
And so there,
It just
this is
sounds
what I
funny.
was trying to remember. Like you have illegal. It's like subsidy. A subsidy can be illegal or unfair.
Yeah, well,
The subsidy
That's
itself
an
is a
understand.
great. So you put the descriptor in front of it
You see, when you have a word that is usually associated with
with
something
something negative.
negative,
Yeah.
then
What am I doing here, sir? No, I was trying to say something.
this charger for the phone just right here.
But but it's kind of weird because
just reappear.
the day when we were taking them out, you had three of them, two black one and a silver
Yeah.
one.
Listen to me.
So isn't that one of the
Then
black one?
No, I'm gonna show you. There's still
Oh.
another black one in a long one that when you push it in,
Yeah.
the thing don't charge. So that's one of the first set that I had, and I realized that that is an issue with it. Let me see this thing. I'm gonna take it outside. I thought it was the one that you were using, only to see that you still have the one that you were using. Anyway, whatever it is. So that is their way of preparing the public for the republic. On republic. And my favorite groups them.
Oh,
Them on republic. I imagine them they were the same. That's all. Yeah, yeah. This is the long one. This is the one when you plug it in, it don't readily charge. And then the two shorter ones are the ones that work.
You never know about the long one.
And the thing I like with them, you can have one tip, so you just change the tip.
Right, that's
Mhm.
right.
So now you have a tip. You got a tip? Do that. Lloydie, let's try to work something in our head. Here's the plan now. We're going out of town today. Going down to Mobile. And we'll be there overnight. So we're trying to think about tomorrow morning now. You know what's happening with Percy. So if we have to broadcast remotely, then we might do that. Yeah? But
Oh,
we'll,
so it did something that I
we'll definitely be down there. If we're gonna be in the hotel, then that might be a little better.
Mm.
If we can get, that's where we're gonna be. Or we're gonna be about it.
Oh, in the early morning we might be at August. If that's the students.
Yeah. So I'm trying to work out how best to do this. Truth is, we don't know what's gonna happen with Percy tomorrow. So that's what I'm trying to. And where we're gonna be staying, their internet connection not as strong as another problem. So, and, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mm. So now try work that through. So that no, and then Thursday we're still gonna be down there. So we have to come up so we can do the show from the till Thursday morning. I can work that out because minute also we come up the night,
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday night. That's what we're saying. Yeah. Yeah.
Or if we can't do it remotely. We're gonna take
We
about
can do the shoot. Yeah, but JPS is coming in on Thursday. Let me look at that thing. I'm trying to work it through. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So let's see. Yes, okay. Joining you this week will be Mr. Ricardo Case, Director. You can be contacted at if Mr. Case is coming in person, then you'll be okay. If he's coming in on phone, then that's not a problem. And you know what I want to do? I want to use I go Google Meet or one of them more. So like when a person come in, they can come in on Google Meet. Understand? So we don't need to use your phone now. Yeah, man. That would be easier than having to make a phone call. I need to fine tune that. Straight to the, yeah, so there's nothing that, yeah. Mm, yeah, just send the personal link and then that will come up on the screen. Mm. All right, I have to work with you. Coming back? Coming back.
Good morning and welcome back. Again, this is the Morning Connection. And now it's Minette and Lowell. Oh, so like one person.
Yeah.
when, I, when I was in college, my roommate was Terry Ann. And one day somebody called me Terry Ann Minette. Like, what? I thought it was one name.
Oh, okay.
Because everybody, just that big older girl to me, had been on campus a year before. And we ended up being roommates. That's one thing, university on hall, you show up and there's a roommate. You don't get to choose your roommate or any such thing. Because I had one or two friends. We had done A levels together, and we ended up on the same hall, but we were not in the same dormitory. But my roommate and I became known as Terry and Minute.
Okay.
It's
Terry and Minute.
Terry
So
and
the
Minute.
minute is the surname.
It's like a surname. Well, at least I was the surname. Now that and it's funny, we were so close on campus and then lost contact. We migrated. Not calling her out for anything, but I remember that the year when we graduated from law school, I had done mooting and was being kind of, solicited by different people who had an interest in those who have strong advocacy skills. So, yeah, I was like a hot property coming out of graduation. My friends now who, it's funny, you could be like a genius, but you don't talk much, and people don't really get to know your capabilities. The ones who speak up always end up attracting more attention. This is what I discovered. So anyway, my two friends went to New York and didn't come back. Went on holidays and didn't come back. Two of my friends. And I'm like, lawyers run off? Oh, you could be a newly qualified.
They're still there, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Both of them. Eventually, I think they both did the bar in New York and they both went on to practice law. But it was just the strangest thing to me that you would have invested all your time and resources in becoming educated in your own country where you could start work in a legitimate public, way.
Yeah.
But you would go on holidays and don't come back. Yeah, but come back and get your papers and whatever. Because for a long
I could
while,
never do,
I don't have the stomach for that.
When the US tried to give up the visa, I mean, it's wasted on me.
Yeah, we know it's wasted. They have to revoke our visas while we were on the road. We were not even traveling. I could do a turn in a comedy club. Yeah, they wouldn't get us in that airport. Yeah, that's something that I don't mind telling people.
People do it.
My visa was revoked when I was on Constant Spring Road. What about you?
Well, I was the bearer of the news.
We were sitting beside each other when the very, very upset American embassy man who couldn't get hold of me got hold of Noel and said, "And this your wife, Minute Lawrence." You confessed, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Tell her,
Tell her business.
and our son.
And our picnic too. I mean, I felt the picnic energy, even though he said her son. Yeah, we have stories to tell.
Mm,
That's why we're here
interesting.
in the morning talking to you, because you may think that all you know, there's sometimes when it's an exercise I used to do. I'd be on the road, I'm driving in whatever is the car of the day, and I would see people look by, admiringly, and I would imagine, what are they thinking? They see you going by. Just the same way you look at people and say, boy, I wish that person must have life easy. They look like they have life easy. I know people have looked at us and assumed some things which,
Oh,
if
yeah.
they knew the truth of
yeah.
the
Oh,
situation,
yeah.
they would drop on their knees and pray for you and
Yeah,
do
man, the
every
grass
kind
is
of
always
thing.
green on the other
Yeah,
side.
you're looking out and seeing other people and thinking, whoa, them people, them look like them have it set. Not so. And I've learned to recognize that even some of the people that you think are very, very wealthy, they're financially set, and you would imagine that they don't have a moment of worry about paying the light bill, buying gas, buying food, or traveling in the best, most luxurious way. When you get to know the pressures of their life, you give God thanks that occasionally you don't know what to eat or where to go for the next dollar. You give God thanks that that is your problem. Because when you hear some of the issues they have to deal with and the problems that they
That
fight
is the
and
point.
the devils that
That is
afflict
the
them,
point. Yes.
you give God thanks and say, Lord, please don't let me
Yeah,
be
give me
like
back
that
my
man.
trouble and you
I'll
keep
take
yours.
my trouble.
Yes.
I've learned that you can never make that assumption. So while you are driving and listening to us and you're just kind of meditating on what is being said, and especially if you are a first time listener and you've never heard any of our war stories, and I'm not ashamed of my war stories. I think in many ways they are a point of good conversation, and also they inspire others
Yeah.
to press
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah. You realize you're not alone.
You're gonna realize that
And
you're not alone.
yeah.
And you know what? You don't want to be. I just remember that Be the Man video. You want to be that guy? You want to be that guy. You don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be the person who flake out, who crumble under some weight and some pressure that babies are waking up and muscling their way through those issues, and you can't even lift your head up. It has destroyed you. You feel that the world is at an end over some issues. Honestly, I listen to the problems that some people are contending with, and I really think to myself, I wonder what will happen if I just fix that one right now, right away.
Yeah.
I fix that problem. Because things that confound some of us, the right person will get rid of it in a heartbeat. And that reminds me. Do you remember when I got rid of somebody's problem and then vexed with me?
Yes, I remember. And it's
you-
not just one somebody.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Oh my
It's always
goodness.
interesting, a person has a problem that is as big as a mountain, and you go there and you solve it just like that. And you go, hold on a little bit, but it doesn't really a problem. And they feel like whatever it is,
You've
if it's
exposed
a
a
paid job,
weakness.
whatever it
Yeah.
is, they shouldn't pay for it because, I mean, it's simple. Then could have been do it,
So,
kind of thing.
of course, I said it here previously. I said Lowell is a great marketer. I mean, when I met him, he was training people, just, kind of cloning himself as best he could, working with the material you got. And I remember you're saying to me in relation to that situation,
Yeah.
you said to me that I need to make things seem a little more complex. I've
Yeah,
summarized it.
don't rush to solve a problem like that because people take it for granted. They do take it for
So you
granted.
had said it to me, and hey, this is wisdom I'm sharing with you, that I got from the master himself. The first thing is when you have an expertise, you're good at doing something, you get all excited when the problem is exposed to you, and you want to just swarm it and deal with it in minutes. The
Mhm.
master says, for your own billing and establishment of value, you need
All
to
right.
make it look hard. You need to.
No, no. No, well, if you're talking about this person, okay, you said the master, so I never assume that you're speaking about
You
me.
got your master,
But
man.
just
I
in
just,
case you are,
yeah, I pull you
no,
out now.
no,
You give the advice
no.
for
But look at it.
me.
You bill based on time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You get a problem,
Yeah.
huge problem for whomever brings it to you. You solve it in under 5 minutes.
Yes.
What
And
are you gonna charge?
and then I give them $1 million invoice.
Yeah. What are you? Tell me. What are you charging for?
I know.
Because you
I
charge
know.
based on time.
Sometimes I don't even charge, as you know.
I know you'll institute a minimum charge or you'll say, listen, consultation. If you come, then it's X amount. And as long as you come, yeah?
That
Or if
was
you go over this time, they charge Y. But this is
mm,
just how people are.
yeah, that was from another life. But
Yeah.
I did
It is like
find
the
great
man who
value
will
in that
take, or the
advice you
man or
gave
woman
me.
who will take their piece of equipment to the repair shop,
Yes.
right? And the man plug it in and find that it is working, and that's all that they needed to do, which has happened.
Mm-hmm.
One simple thing, and then the man charge wholly for money because as far as he's concerned, he's charging you for
For your
your
idiocy.
stupidity or simplicity. You know, so these things
Yeah.
happen.
No, but I did find value in the advice you gave me. You said to me, so that was part one of the advice. The
You
first one
solve
was
the problem.
do not make it look too simple. One, people going to feel embarrassed and think that they're not so bright. Two, they are not going to want to pay you the full value
value.
for it because they think, oh, you just think. So that was part A of the advice, and I'm sharing it with you. You have your expertise, and you need to be sensitive to how people receive and value your work, and make sure that you present it in the best context. You're not going to mislead them and kind of, but you need to make sure they appreciate the value of what you do. But the second thing that you had said to me, no, when
Mm.
I thought I did a fantastic job for somebody, and a problem they had been, living with for some years, and it had become like the favorite conversation point. And the truth of it is, I felt so burdened for this person with the problem they were experiencing that I really went to my highest place of inspiration and said, Lord, how can I be a blessing to this individual with the problem that he's having? And I got my response, and I'm one who makes it clear that I work based on divine inspiration. I have talent, I know that. I have experience and I'm well educated, but the solutions that come to me come from a place beyond my own capacity. I know that God works through me. So when there's a problem, I do not shy to say to the one who inspires me, please, what is the right solution for this problem? And I got the right solution and I applied it, and the problem was fixed and the person stopped talking to me.
And
You remember?
yes, and the less you learn.
Yeah. And you were the one who said to me, but you took away his problem.
Yeah, exactly.
You took away his problem.
There are some people who they will walk around with this problem and they really don't want it to be solved.
No, because no, I'm saying it was the thing you talk
No.
about at parties and
Yes.
everywhere, and it
So
gave
when
the
you take that away,
individual
what
an
else will it? Oh, we have
opportunity.
seen it.
Yeah,
I
and then
mean, look
then
at
it
it.
happened to me many more times.
You go, you see people being healed.
Yes,
Day in, day out.
that's
People
what I was
getting out
thinking
of
about today.
wheelchairs and walking. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then you have some who no,
Not
leave
ready
you
to-
right there.
I'm not ready
They
to
get
change
up,
my condition.
They get up, they walk, and then they go back and they sit in there again.
Yeah,
Because
remember
then
Pastor Al
you're
telling-
depriving them of that kind
Pastor
of
Al,
attention that they're
giving that
of the
that example of the person who
who was ill.
was sick,
Yes,
bedridden, people visiting him, many people going in and praying for him, and you know, he was invited to pray and he went there and he really thought that, well, this man does want to be healed because look at all the activity around him and he was in his condition was sad.
Yeah.
And then he went in. Listen, it's a long story. I can't tell it to you guys. You gotta come and visit us
Oh, I tell you.
to hear the story. But the long and short of it was the man who saw that this particular pastor looked like he mean business refused the prayer. He said, no, don't pray. Don't. You look like you might actually succeed. Others who come, I let them pray for me because I can tell that they're not sure it's going to happen. But you look as if you're serious about it. God will do something through you. And I don't want to be healed and have to lose the attention and the love and the care and the hand holding that I am getting right now. Right now, I'm the center of attention. People come and see me, and I'm gonna lose remember, he was gonna lose the support that he got from government.
Yes.
He was getting, not in Jamaica. Jamaican government don't give sick people money.
Unfortunate.
Oh, I should not laugh with such mirth. The pastor was speaking about someone in, I think it was in South Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the person was getting state assistance because of their infirmity. Let me tell you, one of the reasons why I am so excited about God increasing his supernatural presence in this country, because men and women are on their knees praying for it. I'm excited about it because there are so many of us with problems that only God can fix. Mm-hmm. So many of us, whether it is health related problems, whether it is social maladjustment problems that require better living and transformed individuals leading more righteous lives, because that for me is the root of all that that is what ails us. Mm-hmm. The root of our discontent is in persons with severely antisocial behavior needing to be transformed.
Yeah, but I do remember that we saw in recent times, two persons were like that when we got to the country. They're two ladies, come back in the same state.
Oh, you mean they arrive in their motorized wheelchair and they're leaving it?
Stay there.
Yeah. But Noel, we're touching on an issue that I think has caused many theologians and even non-believers to spend time together in conversation. Mm-hmm. And it is when God does not choose to heal, or when you pray and no healing occurs. Mm-hmm. God is sovereign, we know that. I am proud of that fact. That is what I love most about him. He is sovereign. He's not subject to my manipulation or, imaginative constructs. A lot of us create, and so many times people call this program or write online that is man met God. Yeah, or, the various things. Yeah. And so many of us are in that place of not really knowing what's the truth about God. Mm-hmm. So we know that God heals, but because he is sovereign, we can't dictate to him when to heal and who to heal and how to heal. So there is a place in which we have to just be in alignment with what he's doing and follow his leadership. Yeah. So you'll have a church full of people, and half of them get up out of their wheelchair, their infirmity, and another half is unmoved.
So one of the things we know is that God does things for his, yeah. We like to think that simply because it affects us, then he will just jump and do it. Yeah? Mm-hmm. And he heals because he loves us.
And because he loves us, we may think he will always
He
heal.
will always, right. You know, one of the questions that I ask myself from time to time, where is his glory in what I'm doing? You know, does it accord with his will? You see, the thing is, and again, I've always said this, we are so self-centered that we think that he must be at our beck and call.
I feel the urge to explain what you just said about God doing things for his glory. If I said Noel does things for his glory, it would sound as if Noel is a very self centered, egocentric
Right.
person in a prideful, not
Mm,
pleasant way. But the glory of God is caught up in how he expresses love for his own creation.
Mm-hmm.
So, really, when God is doing something for his glory, he is blessing you and me and causing us to have the right knowledge of who he is, of his character.
Right.
So, it has to be understood that you are the glory of God. I guess this is a good place to, yeah, that is a good place to take the 7:30 break. I want persons to have the knowledge that God's creation, the goodness of it, the flourishing of it, the blessing of it is his glory.
Mhm.
So when he does
Yes.
something for his glory, he's doing something for you and
It's
me.
not in a it's not a
It's
selfish
not a
way, as
selfish,
we would say.
yeah, egocentric
And that,
way.
yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
That's very important.
All right. So with that little bit of knowledge, we'll
Mhm.
take the break for this 7:30 hour.
And
Yeah, I was listening to it and feeling the urge to.
no, but you, and it is important that I say what I say.
Yes.
And you do the thing.
Yeah,
You see, because then you get a balance.
you get it. Because you know, even the disciples didn't understand that the glory of God is not a selfish existing out there kind of thing. I do it for my glory, so I can look good.
Mm. Yeah.
It's a, so I
But you
can
see,
look
and
good.
just to underscore what you're saying is,
When God looks good,
God
it
make
means
me,
you and I are
and He make
prospering.
me for His benefit.
Yes.
No, if He make me broke down, that no benefit.
Not gonna look good.
So you see,
yeah.
it comes right
Yeah.
back.
That's why he kept
The fact
saying.
is, so
That's why he kept saying in Ezekiel 20 that do not profane my name. I'm not going to allow you
so
to
no,
profane my name.
look at the man who was born blind.
Right.
And the man asked, why is he blind? Was it that experienced sin?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer was no. He has been in that state.
And will be glorified.
So that God
What
will be
glorifies God is blessing
glorified.
that man.
Here you go.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm giving him his sight. And
Yeah. Do that on the morning, on the
evening
right,
connection.
prophetic.
On the evening connection.
Oh, this man. Hi, Tyrone. Good morning. Um, we're doing our 7:30 break, so I'm spending it with you. Please check your emails, see all the things I've copied you on. There are 4 files. Letters are to go out, hopefully today. So it's letters to the purchasers, to the banks that are funding their mortgage, and 1 letter to the Jamaican Central Depository, whatever, JCSD, the creditor. Yes. Look at them carefully for me. I have to trust you to make sure that the ones that should have copies of each other, the copies are printed, and you understand? JCSD is getting a copy of the letters to the bank, and the banks and Mr. Kenneth Tomlinson is getting a copy of all the letters. So just look at it for me. And now the files are at my house. I want George to send a driver for them during the morning hours so you can start working on it early. There's 1 file that I suspect the agreement and the transfer need to be cross-stamped. It need to be stamped and cross-stamped. So you have to catch that one early. And even if you are sending, and you may have to hold that list, get it for me, please. We may have to hold the letter until it come back. You know that what's his name, have the capacity to get things stamped in a day. Lot 285. No, 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 it's not lot 285. It's lot 297 for Rowan Roberts. Yeah. I didn't see a stamped agreement for sale. The file is at my house going on. So Sticko or somebody need to go up there early, early. Yeah. Yes. You found lot 300? You found that file? It's Junior Thomas. All right. Well, yeah. Okay. Well, here's what you can do. When you see how I've done the letters, because the letters are done as form letters, you just need to change the particulars. When you see how I've done it, you might be able to do the letters for now. It's a lot of work. I want you to focus on getting these ones out. Mhm. Make one. There's no adjustment to be made. The work that needs to be done is to go through the files and take out the documents that are to be copied as attachment to each letter. That's gonna be your job. It would be best, yeah.
Right. We need to hear when you're gonna come.
So read
You're
the
coming
letters
back?
first
Yeah.
and understand what I'm requiring you to do, right? Mm-hmm. Can text me if there's a question. Yeah.
Eh? No, we're good.
Good morning and welcome back to those who are just joining us. It's the Morning Connection on Best 100 FM, your morning show that will certainly set you in the right mood for the rest of the day. And because we're here Monday to Thursday, we know that we'll keep you in fighting fit shape for the entire week. This morning with me is none other than my favorite person in the world. Was I going to say that? Well, if my other favorite persons are listening, I'll explain to you. But certainly in the top two of my life.
Yeah.
Hello, Lawrence. How are you again, Mr. Lawrence?
I am very well, thank you.
Are you learning anything from this?
Yes, I'm from the top two.
Who you think is the other one?
Well, I'm waiting to hear you say.
No, I want to know who you think.
Well, you know, I would only take second to God on top.
See there?
But then I also know
Mm-hmm.
that you're a solid person.
He'd be a
another
contender.
So you might want
to increase the
You
number.
might want to repeat that.
No, you know your spot. Your spot is safe.
Anyway,
But before we took the break, we were talking about the glory of God because Noel was just explaining something and inspiring me to remind us that when we say the glory of God, we are not speaking about some, transcendental, out of this world, um, what would you say now? Like just a construct. We're not just thinking. We're not talking about something like that. The glory of God is expressed in how He establishes His reputation in the relationship with those He loves, and that's you and me. I said Percy. Lowell reminded me in the break that when his disciples asked him about the man who was born blind, and they said, who sinned? Because, we'd say in ancient of days, that was the idea that a person born with an affliction, a deformity, or something that was not, that was outside the norm, that such a person was bearing the marks of some terrible um, sin or something punishing in his bloodline or in his family. And Christ answered them by saying, no, this you see here is so that God could be glorified. And how was God glorified? by the man being healed. So the man could go forth and says, I have been healed through the agency of the divine. God loves you. He loves the blind man that people abuse and ignore and might not even give to when they really could. It is a beautiful thing to recognize that those who are imperfect amongst us may be rejected and reviled, that they too exist in the love of God, and that God will do something supernatural and beautiful for them. You, with your two good looking eyes and your well formed body, not in the line for that kind of blessing because He formed you already complete in yourself. But a very grateful person would be the one who knew rejection because of the deformity and was transformed through the healing, miraculous healing power of God.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, God is glorified. You can't experience God and not go around saying, did you know last year, this time I couldn't walk? And when somebody says, so what happened? You can say, God blessed me through another man who may have laid hands on you, or because you prayed for it, like I prayed for my healing. And I was one of those who could say, 2, 3 years ago this time, I couldn't play squash, I couldn't walk. To do the slightest thing was a terrible, terrible, painful effort. I did chiropractic adjustments. I went for MRIs and X-rays. I did what was that special kind of physiotherapy I was doing? I did a special kind of physiotherapy. Then I signed up for Pilates because I thought my flexibility and so needed to be put. I did acupuncture, you remember?
Yeah.
I did acupuncture. I did everything that I could think of and could afford to do to solve the problem. And it was a physical problem. I literally could hardly walk, couldn't sit up for long periods of time, not in a motor car, not in bed, not on a chair. If I lay down, I couldn't lift up my legs without assistance. Yes, you remember. Unless people watch that movie, they have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah, and that was my condition for about 3 years. As best I could, I hid it from you how much pain I was in. And I started to talk to my body, speak life to my body. I would say, in the name of Jesus, you were created to move. These legs will move. I started to visualize myself back on the squash court.
Yeah. I remember.
Yes.
It is such a scary thing because you wonder if you would ever get back to where you were. I remember I had my back injured at the time. And you walk 2 steps and you buckle.
And I saw you recovered, and I said, well, no, it's not.
I remember I recovered when you were trying to get your member.
Yeah.
Everything the doctor told you to do, I did it. And it worked for me.
Oh, man.
I never forget it. I said, okay then.
Yes. Yeah. So, for the glory of God, because I don't stop talking about it. And then when I went to South Africa, I was ministered to by Pastor Aflopao. And when I ran the length of that church, the space before the altar, I couldn't believe it because the affliction was trying to re-enter my life. I decided something. Let me share it with you, what I decided. I was in the atmosphere of a very prophetic, highly spiritual place. The altar was hot. Like if you're in Vegas and you're by one of those casino, you're at a table and people are winning, they said the table is hot. You know that expression? The field is hot. I feel that produce plenty goals. Yes, it was like that. The altar was hot. And I said, Lord, I am not going back to Jamaica with this pain trying to re-enter my life. And I honestly think that there's some stress-related issues because at the time, we hadn't yet been acquitted. Not acquitted. The case against us hadn't been thrown out as yet. And every type of thing was trying to reassert itself. And I was determined to resist the devil and watch him flee. So I was standing beside you in the congregation and, hey, a voice said in my head says, You got to leave it here. You're not taking it home. Now, I knew that my body had been healed before, but I also know that over time, if you're not carefully guarding your health, an old problem, they say when you're delivered of a spirit,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't fill up the house with things that deny it any space, it keeps checking back. And when it finds the place empty and well kept, it brings seven more of its terrible
Yeah,
friends,
man.
and the condition of that
Mm-hmm.
man is worse. If the last condition is worse than the first,
Yeah.
all right, you know what I'm saying. So I was standing there saying, I know if this thing creeps back into my life, it's going to be really hard for me to even muster the energy, because when you've experienced a certain kind of pain and you feel it trying to re-enter, your mind is telling you that you can't fight it again. Like those persons who cancer one time, knock it away, two times, three times, four times. By the time cancer come back number 8 or 10, it's like, you know what? I think cancer is how I'm gonna die because it's so persistent.
Mm-hmm.
It will break your mind just by its own persistence. And you have to have the character and the ability to say, I beat you once before, I will beat you again. Your place is under my foot.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta have that,
Yeah.
determination. So I was standing beside you in the worship center, and I was thinking, I'm not going home with this. So I told myself, or said the Spirit told me, if you declare it publicly and confess it publicly, you will have kicked it to the curb.
See that? Mm-hmm.
So I just zipped away. Did I tell you? Did I say to you? I
No,
tried to
I see you
remember.
pushing past me.
I just said, you know what? I'm heading to the altar.
Next thing I know, here you
Yeah.
dash it across.
Yes, because I had felt the pain leave me completely while the
While you
prophet
were
was
there.
ministering. Yeah, while Pastor Alf was speaking, and you remember he had said to everybody, "Your hands are Jesus' hands." And this is something that you driving along and wondering, what's Miss Miller talking about this morning? This is my personal experience, my testimony, giving voice to what we were speaking about, the glory of God. God is glorified when you speak about what He has done in your life. That is transformative. The persons who knew me when I was in that situation of pain and could later on see me running up and down on the squash court, like back to normal, must say, how did that happen for her? And I'm willing to speak about it. I speak about it now. I was standing in the church. The pastor said, your hands are Jesus's hands. And he was just saying that in you, if you believe this to be so, and the Spirit of God is alive in you, when you ask God to work through your hands, He does. And He will work through your hands for a stranger as much as He will work through your hands for you. So now He says, place your hand on your head and just declare. If it is healing you're seeking, declare that your body is healed. If there's a part of your body that has a pain, touch that part of your body and see. And I felt my head start to just, it's like my scalp just tightened and kept tightening. And by the time it released, I realized I was standing comfortably freely. The pain was gone. No less than maybe like 20 minutes before that, I was thinking about taking a painkiller because long standing and so on caused the pain to reassert. And in all of that, I realized, oh my gosh, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So I say, hey, I am celebrating it for the glory of God. And I went to the altar.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you watch YouTube and you see,
That's
there was
the
Minette.
rest is history.
Yes. Streaking down I could not believe it, because even walking through the airports, I had been suffering so much for the long walks to the airport. And anyway, suffice it to say, God is glorified. But do you know what happened too? When I came home, someone, not someone who is not my friend, if one were to say enemies, that person definitely in the enemy camp, had seen me on YouTube with Pastor Al, giving my testimony and receiving my blessing.
Yeah.
And I don't need to tell you, people listening to me this morning, it changed everything in that enemy camp. You know, I think it's in the book of Samuel, there is an account of Israel. Israel was losing a war, and they decided that they need to bring the ark of God into the camp
Mm-hmm.
because they felt just the presence of the ark would cause the soldiers to rally and do better. And when the ark arrived in the camp, the joyous celebration of the Israelite army was so much, it shook the ground. That's what scripture says. It shook the ground. And the Philistines against whom they were fighting heard the noise and knew what it was. They said, the ark of God has entered the camp. And the interesting part of that little bit of history is the Philistines themselves were so afraid of the ark of God that they used the knowledge of it as a motivation to rally their men, and they actually won. Of course, what the Israelites didn't know was that the ark of God in the camp, when the people disobedient, made no difference.
Mm-hmm.
The ark is a symbolic piece of wood and whatever it was made of that did not represent it. It was symbolic of the presence of God, but God was not present on that occasion.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting how even without God's favor, just the sight of something that represents his presence rallied the men to celebrate with such noise and vigor that it alerted the enemy to a change of morale in the camp.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those very interesting stories of how when your enemy knows that your weaponry has changed and you're moving at a higher degree of power, it can terrify them to the point where they leave the field, or it can rally them to do a last minute, a Hail Mary, and actually overcome you if you really are not moving in the spirit and the power of God. Well, thank God.
Mm-hmm.
I am moving in the spirit and the power of God. So everything changed. The enemy saw me on YouTube and realized that something had shifted. Minute was not just, little lawyer girl struggling for her life and trying to deal with the malice and the venomous behavior of wicked people. God had entered the battle for me. So again, to the glory of God. What's your testimony?
That's it. Amen.
I'm a testimony. I'm messing.
No,
with you.
I'm listening to you. It just underscores how greater motivation here is,
Mhm.
and it can impact you in either a negative or a positive way. Yeah, because as you were speaking,
Mhm.
it spoke to how you
The
respond
both. Yeah.
and how someone else responds based on the same
Same
circumstances.
stimulus.
Yes, yes. Very interesting. Very interesting.
I love that.
Mhm.
There is a headline that has been teasing me through the corner of my eyes all morning. Mhm.
Mhm.
You want to read that
Mhm.
headline?
Political analysts say wholeness is key for political platform such as PLP and Cabinet. That's interesting. I just say that I remember the a ministry of
Crime and violence. Oh, that. Okay. What's the first order of the day concerning that ministry? What's the
Well,
first order of the day?
it just underscored that.
No, man. The first order of the day is to apologize to person.
Oh,
You please
yes.
you adopt the position. What is it?
My
Assume the
brother,
position.
Pastor Percy, I apologize to you, sir. You said it to us the other day, and we doubted it because we did not find it anywhere. But we have confirmed it.
We call it a dream.
I apologize to you.
A figment of your imagination. Some people were even more unkind. I'm
Ministry
calling no
of
names.
Crime and Violence. So does that mean they're gonna get rid of the security ministry?
No, security is a different issue from crime and violence.
Oh, okay. So
Oh,
it's
and
going to
person,
be a temporary ministry.
hold on a minute.
I'm just trying to
Hold
understand.
on.
I know you're very wise to these things.
Me, you're going to be apologizing to me too very soon. You'll be apologizing to me for that one. It was Percy who sent it to us, because Percy went
Yes.
and that's to tell you, that Percy
I
never
know,
take
right.
kindly to
Yes,
how we
and it wasn't as a result of
how
what we said.
tormented him
I think
over it.
was it on the
Let me
news?
find it.
I heard it somewhere else.
Percy sent us the thing with the Prime Minister,
Yeah.
saying the Prime Minister was thinking. So we also want to be fair to him, because we don't want to say that he has created that he had created such a ministry.
Mm.
So this is from X. No, this looks like from Instagram.
Oh, Lord.
Instagram. All right. It says Wholeness suggests creation of ministry to focus on crime and violence.
Mm.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness
Oh,
has
to
suggested,
focus,
yeah,
focus.
has suggested that the creation of a new government ministry
Mhm.
that specifically focuses on crime and violence could be one way of tackling the problem.
But
So
I'm-
it could be a ministry of love.
No, but I'm still asking.
What
So
say you?
what does the Ministry of National Security do?
They don't focus on crime and violence.
What they focus on?
If security.
Security.
Yeah.
What are they securing people for?
They're not securing people.
Or whomever?
See, you
The
see,
country,
right
whatever.
away
What are
you've
All right.
right away you've walked into
hold
where the
on,
problem
I
lies.
you tell me what they're doing. Let me
I don't
not-
know what they're doing. I'm just telling you that they name security, and security different from crime and violence. In fact, one might say security is the opposite of crime and violence.
Is the kind of securities that we get on the stock exchange?
No, I don't think they're registered with the FSC.
Mm.
But oh boy,
Hmm.
it just shows a level. It shows a level of desperate thinking, though. I wouldn't have said that one out loud, because you then become liable to people saying exactly what Pastor Percival said to us, that there's to be a ministry of crime and violence, and then now it looks like a ministry of corruption. That sure is enough of a criminal. You could say there's to be a ministry of corruption if what you want to fight is corruption. Integrity Commission.
Integrity Commission.
Yeah, make them into a ministry.
Sure.
Listen, man. You know, if you read any of those novels or watch those movies about the dystopian society, to those who don't use those kind of words, you have utopian society, a place of perfection, and you have dystopian societies, a place where everything is dysfunctional, a place where the lady walking around in a wimple and a habit is actually a prostitute, and the lady who's walking around in fishnet stockings and a cutoff is really the pastor of the church.
Oh.
Dystopian, everything upside down, confusing, morally off center. So, in a dystopian society, you have ministries or agencies being created based on the problems that are particularly bedeviling.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a ministry of crime and violence because there's too much crime and violence. We need a ministry for it.
And that will solve it.
Speaking now from the platform of those who align themselves with the wisdom of God, we already know that the thing which occupies your mind most
Yes. Yeah.
is what will eventually overwhelm you and swarm you, and that's what you become.
Mm-hmm.
We are spending so much time focusing on crime and violence that now we would even be thinking of glorifying it, elevating it to this position, standing right next to the Ministry of Finance would be the Ministry of Crime and Violence. That sounds like crime and violence is now a product.
Mm-hmm.
We now institutionalize it. Ministry of Education, Ministry of, I forget what they call it. Yeah. You're creating ministry. It don't need to be a ministry. In fact, crime and violence, I wouldn't even be focusing on crime and violence. I'd be focusing on loving my neighbor. How about a ministry of loving my neighbor? Then that becomes, if that overwhelms you and you become the one who loves the neighbor, it changes the dynamic. And this is why they would say
Ministry of Love and Neighbor.
Ministry of Love might sound like something else. So love thy neighbor. We don't leave it. Not love thy neighbor's wife. Please, that's not a ministry we're proposing. But if you to focus, is when I'm with Percival, I'm way more sober.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you were to focus on the thing that you want to dominate people's lives and consciousness,
Mhm.
then they become it.
Yeah.
You want them to be dominated by crime and violence? Create that
Great
ministry.
ministry. Okay. Mhm.
Yeah. Ministry of Social Transformation. You don't need a ministry for that. That is a temporary, transitory place. That's not where you're gonna live because you're gonna be changed
Mhm.
and become, the thing that we all aspire to be, a society that is prosperous and brings joy, and this whole thing about the place where people want to work and live and raise their children. Is it really 8 o'clock? Say it isn't so.
It is. It is. And,
I want to say one more thing because there was a time when it was very topical. You talked about how many churches we have. People who focus on sin
Mhm.
begin to create lots of rules, and they create churches
Yeah.
that become places that monitor sin. You don't want to monitor sin, you want to monitor goodness and love. That's where we're taking the break. 8 o'clock.
Interesting. We'll start a whole new conversation right here, but we'll take a break.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you remember that was I mean,
Because
there's
I dare say that the fact of so many churches in effective of sin.
yeah,
Yeah. And so that you take the time and you live according to the word, but you say love your neighbor and make sure that you mend fences and so on and so on and so forth. You just vex and have everything.
and put up and say they
You know,
put them as sin.
it was interesting when we were talking to Sylvester yesterday. And he was getting so agitated. They want
They want to know.
you can't. And the voice said, yes.
Which must die.
And he's convinced. He's convincing her that he's not carrying anything yet. Feelings are not nothing.
Mm-hmm. Well, you get there. He was first. I wasn't gonna say it, but I know he was motivated by fear.
Yes.
Because when the lady jumped up in the air, he didn't know what to do.
I hear what was in my mind. I said, you sit here and you tell me that you help raise 3 of her children. So when you advocate now for killer, what happened to that? What is that for?
Oh, Percy says, and you remove Cruz from the chat?
I did, yeah, man.
No, man, don't remove it. Please.
Mr. Member,
Well, let me put it back then. If you're saying you did it.
I
But remember that they no, don't remove it. Oh yes, so I must put him back.
You can form another chat. You know what? Let me tell you, as a matter of fact, I'm using it because I'm been using that phone for the church.
Well, then
We
take
have
it down.
this.
So then, so close it then. It's better. Don't.
No, that's what I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I'm gonna close it. I'm gonna close it because we can start another chat.
Yes, please.
But
All right, enough said on that.
the spirit was. Come on.
No, disband the group.
No,
What did you do?
you know, you're admin in the group as well.
Yeah.
You know going on.
I don't watch his videos and I just delete them. So it don't,
I'm
it's
saying,
no stress to me.
I just
But
need,
so what did you do? But if you want the phone, then you don't want that. You don't want. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So tell what are you explaining? So how many people
No,
are on this?
listen, who's the only one I use it? He's the only one using it and he floods the thing with all of these videos and he keeps doing it. He's very aggressive with it. And I say, you know something,
Okay, you'd heard what I said.
I used to delete them.
I don't even look on it. At a seasonal
Every
time.
time it comes up,
Yeah, but it's a connection to the 1660 that I didn't want to shut down just yet until so I don't want to just remove one person. I would rather
Yeah,
just
but he's
close.
abusing the thing.
So can we just close the group? The number is no longer available.
I'm sure so.
Yeah,
But I'm telling the reason why this is abusing.
I know the reason why you do it. But when you do it,
Cruise no to.
yeah, because he asked a question about, but when you do it with myself and Percival as part of the group, it's making a statement that it's not.
I've been looking at it. I try every other way.
Close the group because I'm not paying it any attention. I don't use it. I see him send the videos. I kind of glance. I never watch any of them. I'm unmoved by it. It don't even feel like abuse because it don't affect me. But what I don't want is to communicate rejection. That's what I don't want. When you remove somebody from the group, what does it say? They get a message that say you have been removed from this group.
I get a message.
Anyway,
I'm not sure.
No. God never kept his people in the wilderness forever, says Mr. Holness. At some point, he sent leadership and he directed them out of the wilderness. No, that's not what he did. He said, I took you into the wilderness. Plead my case to you face to face.
What is it?
And those who need to die in the wilderness died in the wilderness.
So where do you get that?
Holness says at some point he sent leadership and directed them out of the wilderness. No, he think they started in the wilderness. He took them from Egypt into the wilderness so he could have deal with them and get Egypt out of them. And those who wouldn't give up Egypt died in the wilderness. I shall teach him on that. It was the leadership that took them into the wilderness. And he take us in the wilderness. Oh, and don't make me say it. Even want to read Ezekiel chapter 22, what God said he did. Let me find it. Before we open the lines, I have a message from Mr. Holness. Here, like just say, all right.
Well, I'm interested.
Like you interested in the message?
What make Daniel deliver the message?
Oh, this Daniel. Yeah, when you said Daniel, you know, we think of our Daniel.
He deliver the best.
Mm-hmm. This is what God said about the wilderness experience. He says they rebelled against me.
Listen,
Okay? Oh.
Mental practice for all your things specialize in having flyers, brochures, and more. Call today at 87506. That's 87506. Or visit us at 4 East Bloomsbury Road, or by the property. Retail Rentals, your first choice in rental. That's one hundred of money for all exit doors from the car. But all things are compared to the better out of the community. You have to look good with the services for you. I like that with us. You're welcome. All our other countries are the same. Two seven six 8925. 276 8925. So please join us. More and under one Mondays to Thursdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Best 100. It's New Year.
Before we open the line. Good morning and welcome back. It's 12 minutes past the hour of 8 o'clock, and we're at that stage in the morning's proceedings where we invite you to be a part of the conversation. And you know, I love that. So I'm only going to take a few minutes of your time because there's an issue I want to address. You know, at first, it's when I saw the reference um, in there's a headline that says wrong message, and political analysts are saying that Prime Minister Holness is pleased from the political platform for Jamaicans to give him another chance, stick with the current administration. The political analysts are saying that it suggests that the JLP is in panic mode. When you read the fullness of what the Prime Minister said, it has inspired yours truly to address just one of his comments. I'm going to read to you what he says. He says, always speaking to his supporters in St. Anne, my own very parish. He says, always keep an optimistic outlook on life because we have been in a long struggle, but we are now at the point where we will see the benefits. God never kept his people in the wilderness forever. At some point, he sent leadership and he directed them out of the wilderness. Laborites, Jamaicans, we are on our way out of the wilderness that the PNP led us in and kept us there for over 18.5 years. We are marching out of the wilderness. I am here quoting from what is reported as the Prime Minister's speech to his party supporters in a recent St. Anne meeting. And I'm going to say this to our Prime Minister. Many of us across this nation, maybe across the world even, are praying that the leadership of this country will begin to associate itself intimately with the principles of God: justice, righteousness, above all, love. We pray for it because we know that there are some rules, principles that God has set, which if we live by them, we will succeed and we will do well. But we also know that God is not mocked. Don't deceive yourself, Mr. Prime Minister, that you could just pay lip service to the words of God, the idea of God, and it will somehow bring into our circumstances the goodness of God. If you want God in your business, you got to seek Him with all your heart, and you have to assume a position of repentance and submission. I have been praying for you on this matter for years now. I have said from this platform that, like King David, who knew he had to put something of great value on the altar of God in order to save his people from the devouring, consuming sword of the angel of death, you as our leader need to do the same. And I see now, not just you, but others from the government administration have been saying, where is God? God, please, we need God. Things like that. But I'm going to tell you now about God and the wilderness, because what you have put there, casting the very important and sacred business of God into the political mess that has caused Jamaica to be struggling, I am not going to leave it untouched. You say God never kept his people in the wilderness forever. May I tell you, God took his people out of Egypt and brought them into the wilderness so he could deal with them. And I'm going to refer you to Ezekiel chapter 20, now one of my favorite chapters, because in that chapter, the leaders of the country had gone to the prophet of God to make inquiries concerning the nation. And on that occasion, God said to his prophet, tell them, do not inquire of me. I will not be inquired of by them. Let them go and take their punishment, because this is what I do. When they were in Egypt worshiping idols, I did not want to pour out my fury on them in Egypt in the presence and sight of the Gentiles who would form a wrong impression about me. And I have a place in my heart for the Gentiles. And so God says, I took them into the wilderness. Ezekiel chapter 20. The people did not cast away the abominations which were before their eyes, nor did they forsake the idols of Egypt. Then I said, I will pour out my fury on them and fulfill my anger against them in the midst of the land of Egypt. But I acted for my name's sake, that it should not be profaned before the Gentiles among whom they were, in whose sight I had made myself known to them, to bring them out of the land of Egypt. Therefore, I made them go out of the land of Egypt. The PNP didn't bring us into the land, into the wilderness. God says, I made them go out of the land of Egypt and brought them into the wilderness. We are in the wilderness because the wilderness is a place where idolatry, misbehavior, crime, violence is purged out of you. That's what happens in the wilderness. And you will remain in the wilderness until the job is done. The job isn't done by somebody. God didn't send Moses to lead people out of the wilderness. It's quite the contrary. Moses led them into the wilderness. The land of promise was 11 days walk away from Egypt. Am I right, Pastor? Mm-hmm. 11 days walk away from Egypt was the land of Canaan. But it took them 40 years. You know why? Because they had to stay in that wilderness until they learned how to be God's people. And those who would not learn died in the wilderness. Like some of us Jamaicans going to die in the wilderness because we won't give up certain things. We are giving up an over reliance on politics and politicians because you see that the voter turnout is very low. So we've given up on that. But there are other things that we need to give up on and embrace God. So this is what the Lord Almighty says. I brought them into the wilderness, and I gave them my statutes and showed them my judgments, which if a man does, he shall live by them. That's what I'm talking about. The laws that we pass in this country are not laws for people to live by. We are focused on crime and violence and no want a ministry. Moreover, he said he gave them his Sabbath, the time of rest and worship, specially infused with all kind of restorative powers. If Jamaica really took this business seriously and decided to rest in God and to feed from the place that he has set for us to be restored. He says this Sabbath is to be a sign between them and me, where we make time for worship and we do worship. He says, yet the house of Israel, Jamaica, rebelled against me in the wilderness. They did not walk in my statutes. They despised my judgments, which if a man does, he shall live by them. And they greatly defiled my Sabbaths. And he continues, so please, no political leadership is needed to take us out of the wilderness. Man have to learn his lesson in the wilderness and be transformed. If you cannot be transformed, you die in the wilderness. That's why it took them 40 years, because one whole generation had to die out before they could. All the ones who rejected the rule of God and went before the golden calf, and these stories, some people call them stories, but these accounts, even if you think it's a fable, they are important moral statements about what it takes to redeem a nation, so that yes, indeed, a nation can be born in a day, because we all decide that we're going in this direction. We are for God, and we say the Lord is God, the Lord is God. What are the numbers to call?
You know, it is interesting how politicians tend to have this habit of, from the political platform or wherever they go to speak, to quote scriptures from time to time. And it's not coming from the right place.
Profane the name of God.
Yeah.
That's what.
And because they think it's cute. And we, in some instances, they'll use it in order to appeal to the people who are,
of a very religious
and
sensibility.
it's something that we need to stop it. We need to stop it. The time when you repent and do what you need to do as a child of God, as a leader of a country, be the prime minister or any other leader, then you can go about speaking the word of God. Because we know what's happening in this country. We know the reason why we're in this country. And it's about time we stop, check ourselves. Yeah? It is interesting that we pick this up in this article. And it is important to speak about it, because I'm pretty sure it was misguided everybody.
Well, everybody else is assessing it based on politics and the way and the thinking of the world. When I look at it, I see all that they're saying, and the pundits are indeed saying that message desperate. That means there's trouble. If you're asking me to hold tight, it's because you know that things not going well, which means
hold tight to do what? You're continue to abuse people. Yeah. Continue to abuse. What are you going to hold tight to do? Let us get to the phone.
Yes, the numbers to call are 876-619-1508 and 876-279-8473. We're opening the lines, although I shifted the complexion of the conversation a little bit there, but I take quite seriously. If you're really thinking that God is in the mix, then you have to acknowledge the true power of God. You can't just pay lip service to it and move on. Good morning and welcome to the Morning Connection. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Connection.
Yes,
we are well, thank
morning,
you. Sound like it's politics now.
Well, I hope when you say you're not talking about us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You need begging the wrong people.
Oh no.
You need to beg God. That's what I need to do. You know, God is merciful and looking
No,
for
I
Him
agree.
and
You
other.
know what? I agree with you, my brother, because in
Mm,
Ezekiel chapter 20, that is exactly what was happening. God
mm.
even said, don't even ask. Don't tell them, don't ask me anything. I mean, was the most
But thank
remarkable
God under the new
dispensation.
dispensation, there's mercy. So there's hope. Mm. Oh Lord. Oh man. And that's a double whammy. Mm.
Yes, yes, yes. And he refers to her as Madam Speaker, as if she's a stranger. Oh yeah. I saw that. I thought this is a real dystopian moment. Yes, yes.
Mm.
Let me tell you, I believe as we go deeper into constitutional reform, those are things that now that we've had the visual, you're gonna see some rules and some opinions
It
coming
should
out
never
about it.
happen. Should
But
never
the truth
happen.
of it is, when you're looking at, like, say, I'm, Lowell sitting next to me is my husband. He and I have shared leadership position in different settings, all voluntary and not anything political. And some may see it as a blessing because they feel like they get two heads for one and it works. But in another setting is a problem for some because they feel like they don't get the benefit of two minds. But until you really see it working, you don't have the ability to really see what's wrong with it. When I see the prime minister and his wife, the speaker of the house, and they're addressing matters in a way that lock out the people, I know that that is wrong. That's not democracy. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That's how it looks. I agree with you that that's how it looks, as if it is an orchestrated strategy to keep people out of information on a timely basis. And they must know that that's how people see it.
They
And
don't care.
still, and still
They
they
don't care.
persist. They don't
They
care.
don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. Very soon. If yeah, yeah. I think yeah. But you see, it's a kind of a very, it's like they're trying to manage the flow of the information and it's a dam that you can't hold back. Prime Minister having come out and said that he has received letters from the Integrity Commission asking him questions concerning his declaration of assets or his declaration that ought to be published. The very fact that he says, and he actually disclose that there's a further answer that he needs to give,
To give, yeah.
and it was supposed to be when last week or this week. He hoped to give it. So right away there, something not.
Mm.
Hey, yes. And then he has his wife guarding the gates. Mm-hmm. And every time there is some, and we know that poor people not situated in a scattered fashion like that. We know there's a greater need than the one all over the place. Yeah, it's politics. Oh, you have to pay for it? Those houses that are being, this I see him giving the keys. You have to pay something for it? Oh, we should clarify that because all the reports I've seen suggest that those you don't pay for those houses. So yeah, if someone knows for sure, we can research it. I would never want to give any leave room for anyone to say we have misled people and brought some inaccurate information into the mix. I think I think, yeah, yeah, no, I believe that the houses, you don't pay for the houses. I don't think it's in a program which does not require persons to pay for the houses.
Mhm.
Those houses are really meant to be a blessing to the men and women who receive them. And what we don't want is for the houses to become some kind of political, um, you know, what you call it, gift bag or, yeah,
Mm.
for those areas. Yeah, yeah. Right, the counselors. My brother, we're at 8:31 just about, so we have to take our station break. Thank you so much, though, for your contribution. Right.
Somebody was calling me from South Africa.
Good morning. Hello. Hi, Jennifer. How are you, my dear? Yeah, man, yes, you're still in my phone book. Wonderful. Yeah. Yes, Audrey Grant. Yeah. All right, no problem. Because I told her, yeah, don't worry about it, Miss Jennifer. Those who were sending, some persons asked, it's not a scam. It's not a scam. The first instruction was to wire it, but nobody was wiring it. Only this week now people start to say, can I get the address and the code and so on. So I told Bishop J, just hold on for me. I told Bishop J that it's so late now that it's better for persons to just bring it with them. Because by the time you send it to my account and I have to send it to the hotel account, it's Friday and I don't want anybody to come and have and be inconvenienced. So I did ask her to let persons know that at this late hour, don't send it. If yeah. Mm, yes, and sometimes it's the possibility. All right, so don't worry. Yeah, yeah. No, Audrey's Minister Audrey is one of our AMI. Yeah. No worries, Miss Jennifer. I look forward to seeing you. I'm on ear. All right. Bye. It looked like it was Pastor Lulu. It was a 44
Yeah.
number.
Yeah.
It was not.
That's right. Mm.
See?
I see. Mm.
Yes, ma'am. Assignment?
Timber. Oh, the other guy. This is-
Yes, ma'am. My pastor, good morning. Oh, I am very well, thank you. Will you? Yes. Oh, what passport are you using? Oh.
They have to do the interview.
All right. At this stage, you would need to, and it does require an application. It's done at the airport when you arrive. You would need the port, what they call it, port of entry visa, but that visa costs 350 US. Yeah. No, you would do it at the, yes, you would request it at the port of entry. But what I'd want is for you to please just send me your passport, a copy of your passport page, and with your photo ID, that one, that page, and let me try and at least put some arrangements in place before. Where are you traveling from? Oh, from London. So you have your residency or okay. So would you please include the page with the residency visa or whatever it is? Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. Send it to my phone and let me get it to the folks who are assisting us with the entries and see. Yes. All right. Thank you. Yes.
Mm.
All right. Thank you very much. Bye.
Good morning. Welcome back. Good morning, my brother. How are you?
Morning, Mr. Cruz.
Yes, good.
Yes, sir. Oh, oh, tell me about that now.
But you need to be bright to make money.
Yeah, that's not well. It
You
depends
don't
on
need to
how
be
you're
bright to
making
make
money.
money.
It depends on how you're making it, I guess. Don't tempt Cruz with that kind of talk.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well,
But Cruz, you're tempting me now,
mhm.
because you should never mistake literacy with intelligence, because one you're born with and one you learn. You have to learn to read and write. But everybody born with some level of intelligence.
Well,
And
it's
that's
smarts.
whether they can read or write, they've got it. Yeah. And then you're joining my team now when you
Mhm.
ask a question like that. Yeah. Yeah, they're University of Life. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, now, Mr. Cruz, I am going to ease you very gently into this modern reality. You don't even want it. You don't even want it to go to the post office, because a lot of the fraud that they experience take place with these processes that are purely manual or don't allow for you to use some of the checks and balances that are easier to monitor and enforce when you are just doing electronic. transfers. I cannot encourage you to try and go back to your post office. Next thing, then close your post office, which they did with my mom's post office. Post office is a dying creature. Why don't you want to use a bank? Hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you know you don't have to use the card. You can go in to the branch and take out the paper cash in your hand, just like how you'd go to the post office. I remember what they give you at the post office is not cash enough. It's something that you still have to take somewhere and cash. Not true. Yeah, yeah. That can't work.
But my brother, so like you're painting yourself in a corner. Um, Let me tell you, it is not as unsecure as you think it is. And remember, your money goes in the bank. There's a certain level of insurance that you do enjoy. Yeah. So it's just to inform yourself in terms of what is available to you. But you're gonna run in problems if you keep avoiding all the banks. That's just the way things go these days.
Yeah, I can't encourage you to, out of fear, try to keep
Just
the
choose
post
one you're
office.
comfortable with. Mm-hmm. Right.
Mhm. No, man, I think
No, no,
no,
no.
but I
That
think
won't be the case.
those accounts they were talking about, that the people who were very nearly unbanked, and the Minister of Finance said something about some kind of account where there are no fees and so on and so forth. I don't believe we are so desperate now that pensioners have to worry that the pension going to be consumed by
No,
bank fees.
no,
Anybody can challenge me on it, but I don't think you need to worry about that. Bear in mind, what they give you from what you get is like a voucher that you would get at the post office that you still need to encash.
right.
Where would you encash that voucher if you use the post office? What? Yeah, yeah. And that complaint also happens when they're sending it to the post, because sometimes it gets redirect. Listen, you're fighting a losing battle. The tide has already, you can't turn back the tide. It has moved. You need a bank account to receive your pension. I pray that you find a nice bank. What may be wrong is them telling people that it can't go to your credit union, because yeah, no, that
But
might be wrong.
no,
The credit
the
union
credit
is
union
not
is
a
not a
bank, you
bank.
know.
The credit union is not a bank, so they can't operate like a bank. Yeah.
But the credit union maintains an account with a bank, and through that bank, monies can go to
Yeah, but
their
the
beneficiaries.
pension is a
So,
different thing, you know. But
well, now you're
you
talking to
just
an
have to
expert here.
you just have to just work out the best way to get it done. Remember, anyway, savings in a credit union is a totally different setup.
Yeah, it's not a bank.
It's a
Credit union is
membership
not a bank.
situation,
Yeah.
you know. Mm.
You read the book of Proverbs. Cruz, do you read the book of do you read the book of Proverbs? Mr. Cruz, I'm asking you a question. Please don't ignore me. Yes, you read the book of Proverbs? All right. I want you to go into Proverbs. I think it's chapter 24. I want you to go into Proverbs and read what the Bible say about answering a fool in accordance with his foolishness, and when you choose not to answer a fool. When someone makes a point that makes no sense, don't spend time trying to apply logic and discuss it. Nobody in this time is looking at who went to the IMF first and who failed and who couldn't manage it. No, that let me tell you, the election not going to be decided on who went to the IMF. So please don't even stress yourself on that. You need to think about the minute. You need to think about the Ministry of Crime and Violence.
All right. Let me ask you, my brother. That is the case. You vote, right? All right. Your time is coming, and encourage as many persons as you can. That's what I'd say to you, because we have to change it, don't you? Yeah, man. I agree with that. You try and influence as many as you can to make the right decision. That's what I'd say. You know?
All right, my
Have a
brother.
good day.
Uh, you know that there are those two verses in Proverbs. I must find them that speak about answering the fool and not answering the fool. When someone make a stupid point in your estimation, don't try to use logic and rebut it. Then now you have gone into the realm of what the Proverbs say don't do. Good morning and welcome to the Morning Connection. How are you, my brother? Now you're just showing off on me. You gotta tell me what kind of tea? Does it have ginger, lime? You see? Fever grass.
Yes, my brother. Yes.
Oh, that was what. Man, no so bad and wicked. You know, the Prime Minister grew up in the Adventist faith. The Prime Minister know about God too, you know? And he know that there was a wilderness experience that the people had. I'm just trying to say to him, don't politicize it and use artful language to give the impression that what is happening to Jamaica is a political matter. It's not a political matter. We are trying to solve it with politics and we will fail. Yes, yeah. But you know what? You know that that's okay. In the will of God, that's okay. If when you're in trouble you find him. Allah, yeah, the jail and the prisons are filled with people who find him. Eh? Yes. Mm-hmm. Good morning and welcome to the Morning Connection. Sorry, my brother Dave, I know the call dropped as you were hitting your stride. Yes, good morning and welcome.
Morning. You're good, man. You?
Oh, that's an excellent report.
Yeah. Yeah, Go ahead, brother.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They're farmers.
Farming is their livelihood. Mm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh my. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, the way you started off really prepared me for what you were about to say. Because, and I hope you have an observation about maybe even another area. Because you say you travel the island and you observe. In the farming community, you notice time and again people's crops dry up in the field. I make a note, no irrigation infrastructure, and then you say people are carrying waters in their trucks. And this is in an area where that would have happened every year then. And we are there's a well-established local government system that's something that should have been picked up on, addressed. If one started, the other one build on it. It don't really matter. That is a need of the community that is well known and nobody address it. Not left hand, not right hand. Yes, yes.
So, can I ask you a question, my brother? Let me ask you a question. Is it at all possible that those persons can come together and do their own way without depending on the government? Mm.
They
Yeah, but
need
we can
leadership.
always find it. There are
They-
people in the private sector who can always, and I'm sure there are persons who are prepared to even do it free of cost.
there's the leadership issue
Yeah.
now, which I think he was addressing through the political.
Mm. All right, my brother, my brother, you're going down a conspiracy line, and we need to just don't run to conspiracy first and foremost. Let me tell you something. The truth is, if we are producing good quality crop and we are doing it at reasonable prices, then that will take care of people trying to come into fill our market. Now, I'm saying to you, we need to, first of all, seek to rely on ourselves before we seek to rely on third parties. Because when you rely on someone else, you're setting yourself up. Yeah? So I'm saying to you that we need to look at how we do things so that we can keep the competition out. Yeah? The government come in order to regulate things and make sure that you have proper distribution and so on. That's what they are supposed to do.
Yeah,
We are,
but
if, mm, it,
even if they do, I get what you're saying. I'm balancing
right.
what the two of you are saying because you do want ownership on the people side, but something like a well that is going to be a common access facility, and you may have to run things on the road, and you need easements across other people's land and those kinds of things, and you have to get technical, geological surveys and those kinds of things. A government involvement becomes necessary. But what I'm hearing, even between the two of you, is local government representation becomes critical, because the local government representation is what would do it.
Mm-hmm.
And we tend to, I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, the counselor was like a minimally educated, low level political supporter who, being counselor is like a big thing. You don't really see them as ministers in waiting or MPs in waiting. The counselor is it's like a gopher to the MP when he's around. He elevates somebody who fetch and care for him. So counselors are typically not empowered. Some of what we are seeing today with counselors holding microphone and you hear them making them statements is like it's a new thing and a big thing. Yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Mm. Are you from that side? Oh,
Mhm.
you need to try. Yeah, you need to
Mhm.
try to get the people to lobby
Yeah,
and see the kind of assistance you're talking about.
yeah.
Mm.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. That's a problem too, my brother. I agree with you. And you see, this is why the reasons why we must hold people accountable. We must inspect what we expect, or else people will always get away with it. Yeah. Mm. Mm. Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm. Yeah, man. Mm. Yeah, man. Agreed, my brother. Good solid point. All right, we have to keep doing what we can do in order
And here, you
to
know
affect
what?
the change.
I gotta just express my appreciation for the focus that you bring to these issues. And I love it that you are reasoning and talking with other people. That is my greatest hope, that whatever we say here and how we build an idea, that someone who hears it will share it. I love it that you're doing that. So keep doing it. Mm-hmm.
Right. So we're going to work to move against that. Thank you, my brother. We are close up on the break. Thank you for your contribution.
All right. Thank you
Appreciate
very
it.
much. Okay. Bye.
All right. Let's
Mhm. That was wet calling me because the road study. Amazing. Hey, Wes. Morning. You gotta get. All right. All right. Just hold on. Let me call the house.
leave that with you.
That was something like that.
Oh, good man. So you see,
Mm.
good. Oh, national incident.
Mhm. Morning, Sabrina. Open the gate for me, please. Mr. Webb is there. On the dresser in my bedroom, where the TV is, I left 3 files, 4 files. Those are the files he's picking up, and he should be bringing one for me, maybe. Give those files to him, please. Receive whatever he brings. Thanks very much. No. Mhm. So you see this young man with his Zimbabwe passport.
Yes.
Bishop's flight leave at 7 something, so he's probably. Possibly is South African.
Is that the phone coming back?
Hmm?
Phone coming back?
No. How much more time, Noisy? 2 minutes. Mhm. No, no. I need to call it and see if I want You need to do it? Yeah? You handle things until I return. And you lock me in.
Yes, Sabrina. So, come again? Repeat that. No, you must give him the files on top of where the TV is. No, all right, no problem. He can go. She'll deal with that. Thanks. Him, not, him never bring it. He must have bring files for you.
Yeah, if
No, he
they
didn't.
found it.
He didn't bring it.
That's hard. No, you really need no more files. To be getting. Welcome back, and to the caller on the line, thank you so much for holding. Welcome to the Morning Connection. Hi, babe. Got you back. How are you? Yes, thank you for calling back. Yes, yes. Mm-hmm. Better water management.
Mm.
Do you agree with us? Do you agree with Dave? Do you agree with what the was being said to the other caller concerning one, greater people involvement and better local government leadership? Because some of these things, I mean, my parents had to build a tank and have water catchment. That is the way people live in the country. This thing in the city of distributing rhino tank, and we only know that water comes from God because man don't make water. The only thing we do is distribute water through pipes if we are in an area where the infrastructure is good. The rest of us know we harvest water. Yes. No, you're not. The
Listen,
part of what I'm saying that you're missing is that a lot of it begins with your own initiative and
mhm.
your own ownership of the responsibility to make this provision. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
we have it
yeah.
wrong, my brother. The truth is the people must lead and the government will follow. The truth is the government will now regulate things if it becomes
If it be,
overwhelming.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah?
That job is overrated.
Uh,
Hey,
Hold on.
hey,
Dave.
you're touching an area there now that you need to be careful because the government's business is not to stop us from doing the things that we want to do and can do. You and I need to have this is now people again. We have to care about the environment and be concerned about the pollution. We have to care about how much the government spends on imports. So if we're buying a lot of imported items across the board, we need to care about it. We're the ones who need to moderate our appetite and our behavior. If you keep calling on the government to curb, to cut down, to stop things, you're gonna get to the point where your freedoms are non-existent because you have now left it to the government to decide what you should eat, where you should buy it from, what quality it should be. We don't want that. We want men and women who take responsibility for our appetites. I need to curb my appetite. You see, I I give you a personal example. I love salmon. You know the imported fish that now grow in a Jamaican water? It's a favorite in my household. There was a time when you could get it at a certain place. You could get a box with like, I mean, about 20 planks of it for 30 something thousand dollars. And that could feed you for a good period of time. You know how much you can get for the 30 something thousand dollars now? About uh, 4 or 5
Pieces.
pieces of that same plant. That's what you get. You know what? I just learned to love another fish
Let me, I want to back up a little.
because I'm not going to spend my money
Yeah.
feeding somebody's, you know, pockets when they are importing it. I don't know if they're paying more for it on the world market. I just know that when it gets to the shelf in Jamaica, the cost of it over a short period of time has gone to the point where it is offensive. But that we are working on now through this program and when you and I speak, We're saying to persons, you make the choice, you make the decision. If things happen and you decide you want to buy salmon again, you buy it. You you save up your money and buy it.
Hi, now you're talking.
Yes. Yeah. Mhm.
All right.
There you go.
So,
And to the persons who like to have a little taste of fish in their ackee and sawfish and they used to use smoked marlin or smoked salmon, hello, meat, red herring. You gotta learn how to do
we
these
have to
things.
make
For
smart
the,
choices.
Lowell has
Remember,
been trying to
we
say
have to
something.
make smart choices. Mm, sounds like a business opportunity, right?
Yeah, it is a business opportunity, but you gotta study why it has failed. You must study why over the years it has failed because it resurges from time to time, and then it I don't know who does it, why, but if you have the heart for it, look at why it has not prospered in Jamaica. Because every island state that I have frequented, small island state, have seaplane, boat, ferry, whatever, is a common thing, but I don't see it in Jamaica. Well, the island ones don't have train, but
All right.
off the road, yeah.
All right. Um,
I love how you're thinking, my
yeah,
brother.
thank you,
Let's
my brother. Lots of
those
suggestions.
are yeah, those are good ideas for businessmen to get behind.
All right, man. Thank you.
Listen, some people might tell you don't encourage Andrew Holness. This prime minister needs to take a break and recover and build himself. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. All
yeah.
right, my brother. Thank you. Mhm. That
That
line
line is
is
not
right
working.
down. There's so many suggestions, and that is good. But we now need to balance it with the people who are prepared to take accountability of what needs to be done. You see the traffic situation, that is because we have poor public transportation. The people are gonna buy.
Good morning and welcome to the Morning Connection. Good
Morning, my brother.
morning.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, the information coming out is that the bomb threat originated with some juvenile type of pranksterism. Yeah, but you're saying that the bomb threat is a dress rehearsal for some shenanigans with the elections. No, yeah, but you see, a dress rehearsal. All right, I know that there are many conspiracy theories, but I don't like to encourage a certain type of conversation because you wouldn't do a dress rehearsal for some election fraud. You wouldn't, because you are immediately the bomb threat, the bomb threat as a dress rehearsal for election fraud. Okay.
Mm. You know, you know, um, let me see, let me see, let me see. Let me see.
Well, all right, my brother. I hear you. I hear you on this one. I don't agree with you on it. I would really love to talk about something that is less based on speculation and paranoia. But but that's what's on your heart this morning. Eh? No, nobody say it again, please. Yeah, but let me tell you, Vervine, you know why I don't want you to repeat it? Please don't repeat it. Do not repeat it. The reason I don't want you to repeat it, but hear me on this. Hear me on this. But I want you to hear me on this. We need to desist from feeding our minds with the stories and the conspiracy theories and the speculations about what the enemy is doing. We need to step into a position of leadership and push for the things that we know are true and are right. It is a waste of our time. It's a waste of our time to be constantly. Yeah, but what does that mean? We said for years. Yeah, but we said that we say we say that for years, but we don't actually exercise the authority that we have. If I were to ask you, you're a man of a certain maturity. If I were to ask you, what initiative have you led in your community? Where have you persevered to make this idea about people having power produce some fruit? What would you tell me you've done? All right. Yeah, but I'm saying, what have you done? I know talking is an action of some level, but the one that really works is you have a farm that you participate other people with. Tell me what you've done. Mm. No, I'm not looking for pretty. I'm looking for impact. I want you to talk about. So I'm not asking you because I don't think it exists, I'm asking you because when we have a conversation about that, you stop being somebody who just call and talk about the things that the enemy up to, and you begin to be someone who is demonstrating and able to say, listen, I took some young people over to Deso. We cleared the land. They are now selling food, feeding this one, doing that, because you have to show it expanding where whatever you do with one person, you can see where that person go and do it with two more. When you say you don't have any right, what do you mean? So the land that you farm on, the land on which you farm, then that mess, man. Talk to me about how you're doing that because me know me want you to talk about that part of what you do. I don't want you to come and tell me about dress rehearsal for election fraud.
All right, my brother, listen. All right.
Yeah, I want you to lead them by example. I don't want you to lead them with paranoid discussions about what people are doing that you can never figure out entirely. But if you let the people watch you and follow you, you can actually lead them to someplace positive.
All right.
All right,
Thank
my
you, my
brother.
brother.
Thanks,
God
thanks
bless
for the
you.
for
Yeah,
the
yeah, we
conversation
talk
this
again.
morning.
No, man, we talk again, my brother.
He's blessing
We have,
you
we have
as
somebody
you.
else holding.
Yeah.
So, let us talk again. All right, cool. All right,
Oh,
man.
what is
Enjoy.
the pandangles? Do we have another call? All right. You know, this morning you and I had a little exchange about the focus on, like, if you focus on crime and violence, that is what will dominate.
Yeah.
You focus on love, you focus on conspiracy, you focus on. We want to focus on things that when they dominate the conversation, it has a positive, uplifting, fruitful result and impact. You can say, hey, the enemy is always doing something.
It's a very interesting dynamic because when there are problems, we always look outward. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I mean, everybody can see the problem very clearly and see the solution. And the solution is usually outside of that individual.
Nothing for you to do.
Yeah.
Good morning and welcome to the Morning Connection. Good morning. How are you?
Morning, sir. Mm-hmm. All right.
Hello, my brother. No, I mean, what happened is that Vervine is a philosopher, you know. Him stand aside and look, and him have many things that him observe, and he has very insightful observations. But like this morning, I really would like to hear a person's focus on how they see things moving forward and what they are doing in their little corner of the world to shift the needle. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What about it? Were you affected? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, they have people that they have put in there, understand, in relation to it. I think I heard that on the news maybe a day or so ago.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
that's
That's
true.
true.
Yeah. Well, I hope he'll be out tomorrow. He just took time to deal with some personal matter. Yeah. Yeah, man, he's good. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's good. He's good. Uh,
Mm. Mm.
But sometimes hospitals have to evacuate. Hospitals evacuate if there's a threat of loss of life. There can be water, there can be fire, there can be gas leak. Hospitals have had to evacuate for different reasons. Um, yeah, it's any place, any place that is under threat can evacuate, and you do it to save lives. But I hear you about Israel being subject to or not subject to the control of outside influences. Any country that have military power can't be told what to do unless they come under threat of a greater force than the power that they have. And Israel is feeling a kind of righteous rage because of how they were attacked, and they're being punitive and unrighteous in their response. You don't need to be, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, man. Revenge killing. After a while, you see, if you get into a rage and you even in a court of law in our jurisdiction, we can deal with provocation. You kill a man, a homicide becomes manslaughter if it is done in the heat of the moment. So everybody can accept that something terrible happened and you respond in the heat of the moment. But a sustained, prolonged decimation of life in a country when the people are ball out and are saying that's no longer in the heat of the moment. That's murder. That's yeah. Mhm. Yeah. 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 But it's never free. It's no, I've not seen that particular demand, but it's not usually free. And what happens is if a coalition of countries say we're putting together a force to intervene and to help, they all pay for it. No one country would carry the full cost of it. Yeah, you can. I mean, it comes at a cost. Yeah, and they shouldn't even have had to ask. The people who are working on the effort should have put together their budget and say who's contributing what. It now it just look now it just and it explains why sometimes we can't even put together a good plan to help one another because those who have the idea expect somebody else to carry the cost, and we're just cheap in our mentality. Yeah. And then you see now why it is that the West and some other countries will always have the dominance because they are prepared to pay for it. Touch on it quickly because it's close to the break. And it killing the eggs. So who cleans the river that way? So who cleans the river that way? This is the government or this is one of the
Mm. Mm.
but you know nature has managed to move along for centuries without men using equipment to clean her waterways. Ah, that sounds so stupid.
Mhm.
Yeah. But it's not just that. You kill the eggs. Yeah, yeah, you stupidity. Man, you make me curious. I want to ask about that one because I know there's great skill and technical elements to river training and desilting the river. I know that there is some skill to it, but I could never believe that we clean the river in such a way that we kill life. Anyway, my
Right.
brother, thank you so much. We're at the break now. It's 9:30. Yes. Okay. Could we end the show right here?
Yes, I saw that poster, but it's
What you asking? What size?
size, yeah, similar.
But it didn't look like that.
It didn't look like that.
No, it said welcome to Kenya. This is a different one. They had this is on a banner.
Yeah.
This was a banner. The one that is not making that.
Mhm.
You saw he sent something.
Yeah.
Credit has been done for the Yes, yes. Is it saying that your husband is kind of stallion thing? No, so if we ask a little bit, you'll be so you're surprised with me. And she's standing alone in the house.
Never read it.
Just a message.
It's fascinating.
Mm. You have to surprise me.
Pick on
Me too,
when
person.
I'm fair or something.
So I'm gonna you're gonna
So I tell him to call him up.
that's all I'm gonna look at it. So you left the equipment over the Sunday and the
But no, the son I was in the way.
Good morning and welcome back. It's 9:34 a.m. We're entering the final stretch. There's a caller on the line. Good morning. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. No? Lost it? All right. Well, speaking first to Vervine, who was speaking about, um, the bomb threat and so on. And then getting that further call, mentioning the bomb threat as well, but going now into another issue which came up some weeks ago when Cruz was saying the river of his childhood in St. Elizabeth is now the Dead Sea. He was there fishing and getting nothing out of it. But this information from our last caller who said that we have been boastfully displaying the equipment and showing how we are cleaning the river with what sounds like some kind of rotating device, that there is the need to desilt the river from time to time because the silt builds up and the water will overflow the bank and flood the human settlements that are on the bank of the river. But I don't think you can do something that will kill the fish. Good morning and welcome. Good morning.
Morning.
The houses that are in the program that I know, but are those houses? Are those? That's the one we're talking about. So the question is, do those persons pay for the house?
You don't answer the question, my brother. My brother.
The social
you don't
housing
answer the
program, the people have to buy the house.
Okay.
Yeah,
but
that's
that's
the
what
one
she's
we're
asking
talking
you.
about.
The social housing program, do they pay for the house? All right. Well, that's
Right.
what she was talking about.
That's no man. We know that. We understand that. We
Okay.
understand that. We made the distinction. Yeah, man, we made the distinction, and I thank you for calling and answer the question as to whether or not the social housing program houses were being sold, which is what the caller was suggesting. Yeah, I think so too. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah. One of the things you don't want to do ever, is just miscommunicate or give wrong information while sounding like you're speaking the truth.
I'm happy that you called.
Yeah,
there are persons who would have seen.
I was just gonna research it because I know the social housing program is supposed to be free. Yeah. Before I know we're winding down right now, and I want to take time to just express condolences and say something about the 5 persons who were killed in that.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh.
I know that I am one of the persons who recognize that there are some things. You see, the Prime Minister used the word wilderness. When you're in the wilderness, there are some things that happen to draw your attention to the fact that you're not in control, that there are greater forces at work, and you need to acquaint yourself with them and fall in line. One of the things the thing we feel most in this nation is when lives are lost. However, they are lost. If it is through just carnage on the roads, if it is because wicked people shoot up one another, if it's because the police act extrajudicially and kill the citizen, those whether it, and then I cannot leave out domestic violence and so on. When we use our best strategies and address one form of killing, you see it shift to another because we only understand the loss of life. Good morning and welcome. Yes. Yeah. Me, I do everything in my power to change it. What kind of law are we talking about? Hmm. Then I would homeschool. No, then I would homeschool. That's why I asked you what kind of law, because there are some laws that speak to things which give you the option of what to do if that law does not align with your personal beliefs. A law that says for public health reasons, which is what that is about, and that's a different type of law because public health regulations are good and necessary. But if I don't believe either that my child is at risk or that this is something I should do for my child, as long as there's a safe alternative that I can adopt, I will do it. So I'm not going to vaccinate my child with something that is I believe to be harmful, so I can send him to school. I find a school that will accept him, and if the only school is in my yard, I homeschool because there's no law against homeschooling. You really need to educate your children. And yeah, but is that you gave a good example because yeah, that's why you I asked you to let me say something because is the issues that you're raising is not a one size fit all question and answer. How you respond to pressing for a change in laws that are unjust or unconstitutional, which is really the test, the measure of what is just or unjust. It must be a law that is violating a right that you have and a right which is capable of being protected. And there are ways for that to be done. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. That issue now is not simply. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You're not gonna like the answer I give you, but we give them that authority and that right, and we can take it back. We can modify it. We can do something about it. It's just a matter of how far you're prepared to go. You know, if you've been listening to me, you know that I have taken the word squatter out of my dictionary. It's offensive to me too. Yeah, yes. And when it offends enough of us, we'll do something about it. And you need to remember too, that there's a law that says you cannot lay claim to land unless you have occupied it for 12 years or more, depending on who owns the land. So if you're really serious about land ownership and say, listen, no man can force me to live in the air, I am going to put my foot down on a piece of land. And it can be anywhere in Jamaica. The problem we have is that some people want to be selective about it. You want to occupy land, but you're going to put yourself on the edge of a gully where if rain come and it sweep you off, you become somebody's problem. Or you put yourself in a place where, yeah, why? No, if you're doing that and you're keeping it safe, yeah, yeah, but listen, the ones I'm talking about are the people who are living in the city areas. They want to be in the city. They want to live in the city area. They're not going out to go find land somewhere and build on it and farm it and tame it. No, they want to be in the middle of things. And that's the problem.
That's the problem.
I guarantee you that if you go up in the hills somewhere and stake out and clear it and do what you want to do with it and live with your bottle lamp and farm your food, and if you can bring two men and start to build a community, I guarantee you that unless you become a gang and start go down into the town and commit crimes, nobody even know where you are. No, government don't say that. You have you have kind of no, 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 no. Government has introduced a system to regulate how people, the land titling system is only a system to regulate how people relate to land. No matter how much it tells you, there are different types of ownership. You have fee simple ownership, where you can sell it, do with it as you feel a mind. You have leasehold ownership, which is limited by a term of years. You have different types of interest in land. You and I can only have an interest in land. The Almighty God said, the land is mine and the people are mine. I permit you to live on it and occupy it and do various things. But through any situation,
Right.
yeah, you've taken me into an area that I really love. But I'm getting the nod. We have to wrap up the program. Call me another morning, man, and let's talk about it. Because, yeah, a good understanding of land policy and how to deal with land is necessary for us to unlock wealth. And I'm happy to go the distance with you when the producer gives me time. Thank you so much.
My brother.
I appreciate the call.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's the last call.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Engineer. Oh boy, those online and on air, thank you so much for journeying with us this morning. I have not paid a lot of attention to those online. Let me see. And there are one or two things. Good morning, Taki and Earl. Minister of Crime and Violence, from the Ministry of Crime and Violence. Oh boy. And yeah, you guys were really working with me. Thank you so much. In the studio right here, Mr. Producer, co-host, thank you very much. Engineer, other engineer. We're going to take our leave now. Please stay with us because you are going to be entertained by Miss Wirewis and her musical genius, because she's really good at what she does. And Pastor Percival, I pray that you continue to be safe and well and productive, whatever it is you're doing. Have a blessed day, everyone. We're good? Oh boy. Think a few people will take to the hills. Go build a community.